Hi, and welcome to another episode of Advisors Unscripted. I'm your host, Justin Woodbury. You know, one of the things I love about this podcast and as my job as a chief marketing officer of an FMO is the opportunity and privilege I have to speak with top advisors in the financial industry who couldn't be more different from each other. And so here's an example. The other day, I was speaking with an advisor from Illinois that does seminars as a part of an overall marketing plan. But he also does webinars and he's on radio, TV, and billboards, and he's extremely successful. Well, today, my guest is also from Illinois, but right outside of Chicago area where you pay a premium for traditional media like TV or radio or billboards. So his niche for lead generation is seminars. Just seminars, and he does up to over 100 seminars a year, and he's also extremely successful. Two very different advisors, but the one thing that they have in common, and something all successful advisors have in common, is that they're consistent and they're frequent in their marketing. And so that's where I'm going to kind of take this episode today. It's John, my guest, is an anomaly in the sense that he does seminars and he's very, very successful at them. But that's what his marketing budget goes towards is seminars. So I really want to dig into his knowledge, his experience of having done over 1,000 seminars. I want to dig into that. And there's a lot of things that we can learn from him. So with that, I want to introduce my friend and financial advisor, John O'Connor, who is the president and founder of O'Connor & Associates. Welcome, John.
Well, thanks, Justin. Nice to be with you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for agreeing to be on here. Before we get into the marketing or into the seminars, who's John O'Connor? Like, I know you, I've known you for a long time, and I love your story. I love your background. Who's John O'Connor outside of work? Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I'm a family man. I live at home with my wife and one son that's still with us. He's 19 years old and he's in college. I am pretty much a workaholic. I go to work every day except Sunday. And I do that because I believe it helps me to fulfill my purpose. And, I'm interested in a lot of different things, but I spend most of my time doing customer service. And I enjoy it. The customers kind of become family to me. And I've got a big family. I've got about 2,000 customers in the Chicago area. So I never am looking for something to do. Something is always finding me. And I take care of it.
You said you do what you do to fulfill your purpose. And I've not hidden the fact that I love to talk about advisors, and I only talk with advisors who I feel like are making a difference in their clients' lives or they're following their why. And I know you do that, John, but what is your purpose? Why do you do what you do, and how do you make a difference in your clients' lives?
Well, what I do is really a selfish thing. It's all for me. I want to help these people, and it gives me a good feeling, and that's my high. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. My big vice, if you will, is Diet Coke. But I even try and cut back on that. But I don't try and cut back on, having relationships with my clientele. And every day, I feel like Forrest Gump because every day is going to be something different. You never know what you're going to get. But by the 10 o'clock in the morning, somebody's calling me, I need, or I want, or mom or dad passed away. So, and on top of that, I'm doing the seminars, which keeps me busy on a routine schedule. So, I guess some people would think my life is boring because I immerse myself in the business I'm in. But I'm not about having a lot of days off or big vacations. I'm about, having that everyday fix, basically, of helping somebody.
And in this entire conversation so far, you've never once made money, and I know you are very successful, John, but I probably will sound like a broken record by the time this episode gets produced and put out there. But I love that people like yourself and other successful advisors, they care about people. They want to help people. They're driven by providing value to people, and then making money is just a result instead of being driven by money and helping people as a result. It's just the opposite way, and I feel like that's so important. And I don't, frankly, I don't care how broken of a record I sound like. I think it's so important for people to recognize that if you want to make money, just help somebody, but don't be driven by the money. Be driven by a greater purpose, which is making a difference in your clients' lives.
Well, I think that, that basically is my philosophy. If you help people, they're going to, give you something that you're going to make a profit from. But it's not my drive. I know that if I just do what I'm supposed to do every day, it comes to me. I've got people calling me up that have been my clients for years saying, I got another $200,000 or something. Could you do something with it? And, I'm usually able to find a way to help them with that. But the bottom line is that, when I'm doing my seminars, I'm not even talking about, anything that's going to make me money there. I'm talking about how I'm going to help somebody as far as, planning for their retirement. And sometimes, and I tell people in my seminar, 50% of you don't even need me, but you don't know that yet. But when you come to my office after I do an interview with you, I'll tell you if you need me or not. And then you decide if you want to work with me.
And you're successful, and I know you are. I never forget one of the first times I went to go visit you. You were going to pick me up from the hotel, and you said, "Do you like electric cars or traditional cars?" And I said, traditional. And you said, "Do you like hardtop or convertible?" And I said, "Convertible." And then you said, "Do you like red or blue?" I don't remember. Then you showed up in that beautiful Corvette. So I know you're successful, John. But I also know that you are driven by making a difference, and I have so much respect for that.
Well, thanks. But that's just a byproduct of the business. I happen to enjoy cars, and lately I haven't had any Corvettes because it's like as I'm getting older, it's harder to get out of the darn things. It's like I can fall into one, but it's hard to climb out. So now I'm driving something that's a little more SUV like.
Tell me about seminars. I said in the introduction you've done over 1,000 seminars. Over what period of span is that? 5 years, 10 years? What is it?
Well, that's more like 20 years. It's over 20 years that I've been doing them. And I used to, when I started out, I was doing lunchtime seminars and did that a lot. And then I was looking for another way to reach a different crowd. And by doing dinner seminars, I was able to get a little younger demographic in there because I've got people that are working. I started out just with retirees. Now I'm like a combination of working and retired. And the dinner seminars to me, I don't know anybody that loves going out and starting work at 6:30 at night, but the bottom line is it pays the bills, and I'm happy to do it. And you know what? As I do my seminars, I'm really just telling my story more or less because I think that's what people find interesting. They don't want to know how an annuity works. They don't want to know how the stock market works. They want to know how can they be helped. I can throw them basically a life preserver if they're drowning in a sea of uncertainty with the market.
Over the past 20 years, how have you seen seminars change? I mean, I'm going to make an assumption that you have to send out more mailers to get people to your seminar today than you did 20 years ago. Is that correct?
That is true. 20 years ago, I was mailing out 2,000 mailers and I'd fill up a room. Now I'm mailing out 7 or 8,000 and getting a decent group, not a full house, not wall to wall. However, I'm also getting some higher quality people than I used to get when I was getting a full room. So it's a trade off, but the bottom line is I don't want everybody that comes to the workshop or dinner. I want the people that really are interested. And so I just by telling my story, I kind of weed out the ones that I don't want and don't need me, and then the ones that I do want and need me, they come in and we have a beginning of a relationship.
I heard one advisor put it this way at the end of his seminar. He would say, "I'm only 100% interested in working with people who are 100% interested in working with me. If that's not you, that's okay. Just fill out the top information. Don't pick a time to meet with me. But I only want to work with you if you want to work with me." And he meant it. But by doing that, he had a lot of people sign up because it immediately felt like they were given permission to get the free mail without setting the appointment. And it was attractive to them.
That's interesting. I really don't say it like that. That's kind of a takeaway, and I don't believe in doing that. I make myself more open and available. But I tell people, that this is something that you probably don't know anything about what we're going to talk about today when I do the seminar. It might be something new. I get a lot of compliments on how it's refreshing to them because it's not the same old
Mm.
thing. The other thing is when they, come in and I invite them to make an appointment. I say, look, if you want an appointment, give me two choices, and if you don't see anything that works for you, you can write one in. We'll do everything we can to accommodate you, but by the same token, if you don't make an appointment, that could be a costly mistake because you might have money falling out of your pocket and you can't even see it or feel it. But I can show it to you, and I can stop the leak. So it's up to you.
So I have a lot of questions centered around seminars, but I'm also going to throw in some of the most common objections that I've heard over the past 13 years of working with advisors. And one of them is uh, I feel like it's cheaper to do educational type events at a library or at a college and not having to pay for the meal. What are your thoughts on that? Can't imagine the hundreds of thousands of dollars you've spent over the years paying for somebody's meal and plate liquors. What are your thoughts on that?
I've actually done a couple seminars at colleges, and it wasn't really very profitable, and we didn't get very big crowds. And at libraries, I don't even know how anybody can do that. To me, I just it's
Yeah.
not my venue. I can't get comfortable. I go to the library to return my son's classroom books or something, but I don't see it as me. I like restaurants. They're a little, especially nice restaurants. They're a little more flash, a little more class to that. If you're doing it at the library, um, yeah, there are some people that are successful doing it. I wouldn't
Right.
take that away
Right.
from anybody, but it's just, you have to feel what you're doing,
Yeah.
and I don't feel it.
And again, to point back to the introduction, that what I love about this is you're very successful doing dinner seminars. I've talked to advisors who are very successful doing educational events at libraries and stuff. So this is not to put that in a bad light. It's just you believe passionately in what you do and it works very well for you. And so pick and choose as a listener to this podcast, pick and choose what you feel like works with you well for you and then be frequent and consistent. And John, like, was I right in saying that you do up to over 100 seminars a year, so 50 mailings, but representing 2 nights?
Correct. Yeah, no, you're right. And the idea behind it is it's like a friend of mine once asked me. He says, "How do you do so many seminars?" And I said, "Well, they only take an hour." And I says, "And God gives me 24 every day, so I only need one of them." And then the appointments typically only take an hour as well, and I don't see somebody once. I might see them two or three times before they actually, are ready to make a decision, yes or no. But bottom line is, again, you get these hours that you're given as a gift. Every day I wake up, I say every day is a holiday because to me it is. I wake up, I'm like, I got one more. I'm going to go out and do something with it. I just hate wasting time. People, a lot of people my age actually would be happy to just sit at home and watch
Mm-hmm.
TV all day and, become comfortably numb. Me, I got to move. I got
Yeah.
to do something. And so every day at about 6 o'clock, I'm getting out of bed, jumping in the shower, and getting ready to go to work. But to me, it's like I'm going to play. You know, some guys like to golf. I prefer to work here. It's a great business.
So, do you work? Are you by yourself, or do you have staff? Because are you calling the venue? Are you calling the mail house to get the mailers and approving those or something? Or do you have support staff?
No, I have support staff. I got a great assistant that basically helps me with all the stuff you just mentioned. And I've got a couple of guys that are also working with me. I'm actually breaking in a couple of new guys to the business. One of them's my son, who's still in college, but he's working on getting his Series 65 license. And his friend that he grew up with is now 20. And I told him about the opportunity, and without even telling me, he went and got himself a Series 65 and an insurance license. So I'm actually picking him up this afternoon, and we're going to start training. But bottom line is that and I've got my other son. I've got a full-grown son. 46 years old. He's been working with me for the last 8 years. I got another fellow that works with me. He's been with me for about 8 years as well. But that's it. I mean, I don't have a giant crew, but I can fill up 5 offices with people.
A little off the topic of seminars, John. What kind of value do you place on having an assistant to do all the stuff that you could do, but you don't make money doing because you only make your money when you're sitting in front of your next prospect or helping somebody? What kind of value do you place on that?
It's kind of hard to put a dollar amount on it, but it's incredibly important to me to have somebody that does that because, part of the job is actually sitting down and thinking about what you need to do. And if you're trying to keep up with all the other nuisances that my assistant takes care of, I'd become too cluttered, too scattered. I wouldn't be able to do a good job with my clients. And he's actually been on vacation the last 2 weeks, and it's been miserable without him because he provides that kind of value. And my clients actually like him too. He's got a great personality, so when he calls them, if we're confirming an appointment or whatever, they think he's my son. And I tell people this is my surrogate son. So, anyway, bottom line is it's incredibly valuable to have somebody that you can hand off the little stuff to. Because if you've got to do it all yourself, you're going to do a lot less of the good stuff.
And I know from talking to Chris, he's sharp. He's always pleasant to talk to on the phone. And I think he makes a great first impression when he's calling to remind people of their appointment or they're calling in to ask a question. I think I always smile when I get off the phone with him because he just makes me feel better about myself just talking to him on the phone.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's good personality. He'll actually talk to people while they're waiting for me. If I'm in an appointment and I got a couple of people sitting in the waiting room, he'll be in there talking to them and just making friendly conversation and kind of breaking the ice, warming them up. So
Yeah.
it's a great thing. The only problem is then I got to break him away from him. I says, okay, let's go. You're
Yeah.
done talking now.
Yeah. So switching back to the seminars, can you kind of step me through like your process of like from the time you get to the venue, how early before do you arrive, and then how does the seminar go, and then how is your appointment setting process post seminar? Because I know you book a large percentage of the room, and that's not by accident. So can you just give a walkthrough, and I'll interject questions as you're going through.
Yeah. Well, we get to the venue at least an hour before the seminar starts. And then it takes about maybe 15 or 20 minutes to set up because I've got some sound equipment and usually I'm bringing a screen and a projector and all that. So we set that up. And then we set up all we've got name tags for everybody that comes in, and we've got a table with all the name tags on it. And then we've got folders with information and also the appointment sheets inside the folder. And so that's all set up. So when a person walks in, I've got a couple of guys that will actually, one will greet them. And then the greeter is going to hand off to one of our guys the folder and the name tags, and then we're going to go get them seated. And ideally, we seat them according to a pattern. We don't want to just have them shotgunned all over the room. We want to kind of fill up tables as we go. And now that COVID's basically not a thing, I don't get too much grief about having 6 people at a table.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great because that way we can be more efficient in how we're setting them up. And then at as the seminar's going on, I'll start, and at 6:30 I pick up the mic and I start going. I don't wait till 6:35 or 6:40 or anything, hoping somebody else is going to show up. If those people that
Yes.
are with me are there
Yes.
on time, they've already had a salad, they've got bread, they've got water or beverage, whatever they need, and then they're waiting. I'm talking in between the salad and the dinner, basically. And I start at 6:30. By 6:40, they're pretty engaged. By the time it gets around to 7:10 or 7:15, I'm done. And I tell people, I says, all right, now I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is dinner's about to be served. The bad news is I'm done talking. I know you're going to miss me. But bottom line is, I need you to take those yellow sheets out of your folder, make sure you fill them out completely, and give me 2 choices for an appointment if you want one. If you don't see one on there that you want, you can write one in at the bottom of the sheet. There's 2 sides to it. Fill it out both times. And I also mentioned this at the very beginning of the workshop, where I tell them, I says, take out those yellow sheets. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a place that put your table number, and every table's got a little number card on it. They put their number on there, so now we know where to go when they make the appointment. We can go find them real easy. Because if you got 30 or 35 people, now you got to find them if you don't know what table they're at. So It's just a system, but the system's been working pretty well, and we keep trying to tune it up a little bit here and there. But it's not a long, drawn out talk. I have a little PowerPoint presentation that I use as my kind of like my notes that I go through with them, and then we wrap it up. And by the time 7:30 rolls around, ideally, we're all packing up the equipment and getting out of there. And I don't stick around. Some people say, "Gee, I wish you'd have stuck around. I wanted to ask you questions." I tell people, that's what an appointment's for. And today, it's legitimately, you shouldn't be, answering personal questions for people because confidentiality rules are so strict. I tell them, I says, you need to come to my office. That way, we're talking in private.
That is really powerful. And I think it bears repeating and talking about a little bit when you're passing around the appointment sheets, because I know some advisors, John, they'll get done with the seminar and then they'll just leave and they won't even have a presence. And I understand why they do that, but you're going around, you're passing out, and you're interacting with that crowd or the people who set appointments. But if they ask you a question that's more appropriate for a one-on-one appointment, you just say, if I understand what you're saying is, I'd love to answer that, but that's more appropriate for a one-on-one because of confidentiality reasons. That is such a powerful statement. And I bet, I mean, when you say that, do you get people pressing you, or are they like, oh yeah, that makes sense?
People don't press me. I tell them, I said, look, I want to help you, but I can't help you here around a bunch of strangers, and I don't want anybody knowing your personal business. I said, well, it's not really for me. I'm like, everything's for you. Nobody asked me a question for their friend or their mother or any of that. They need it for themselves, and I can see through it. And so I tell them before they get into it, I say, you know what? Please don't ask me that question right now, simply because I don't want to answer a question about something personal to you
Yes.
in public.
Yes.
And I give them my little recitation about confidentiality,
That's so
and
powerful.
they're okay.
Yeah, that's so powerful. There's this principle of the law of reciprocity where if I do something nice for you, you'll do something nice for me in return. And I've seen you speak at events and talk about this, so I already know the answer to this. But what do you do when somebody sets an appointment? What do they walk out of the room? I know it's a bag, but can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it really, I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe this helps people keep their appointment because they're walking out of there with a gift that they'll always remember you by. And it's that law of reciprocity where they will wind up being more likely maybe to
Well,
stay
we
and
we
stick with their
we do give
appointment.
out a bag. It's a customized bag. It's got my name on it. It's big enough to hold a ream of paper, so you can really fill it up. And I tell people, I actually introduce the bag in the seminar, and I say, when you make an appointment, we're going to give you this, and it's got directions how to get to the office. It's also got an instruction sheet, and there tells you exactly what to put in the bag. So when you come to the office, you're actually prepared for the appointment. And then I I also pull up. There's a flashlight in there, and I take out the flashlight, and it's really bright. And I say, "This is something that you're going to want in your glove box from now on." And I put that back in there, and they're like, "Okay." And I don't think anybody would make an appointment just for that bag. However, I believe there are a few people that do, but I don't care. It's like, you know what? I gave them something, and I've had people that have gone to my seminar 2 or 3 times, and when they actually make the appointment, they've got another bag. But you know what? They'll come into my office, and every single person that comes to see me has that bag in their hand. I can be standing by the front door, and I'm in a building that has lots of people coming in and out of it. I know my clients the minute I see them with that bag, even if they're brand new. First appointment, here they come with that bag. They remind me of little kids going to school for their first day. It's pretty cool.
Maybe you already mentioned this, but do you tell them what they should put in their bag, like their
Yeah.
social security statements or their or whatever, and does that kind of help them with
Well,
that,
it's
like the
actually
power of
written
suggestion there too?
instructions inside the bag. I tell them in the bag there's a directions how to get to my office. We make custom directions from whatever venue we're at to get to the office, and then there's also an instruction sheet that says bring these documents so that we can have a successful appointment. And most people, if they read that, they actually, come prepared with, several different documents. I've had people come with the bag and nothing in it but the instructions of what to bring and the map how to get there. And I said, "So what'd you put in the bag?" "Nothing." I said, "Did you did you not hear me at the seminar?" I said, "There's instructions what to bring, But bottom line is that it doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it kind of annoys me and amuses me at the same time. But I give them pretty distinct instructions. In fact, there's a slide in my PowerPoint that actually talks about the appointment bag and what to do with it. There's also on that same slide. There's also a little note that comes up that says Cooper's Hawk wine, and I say I personally don't drink, but I do a lot of seminars at Cooper's Hawk restaurants. And the bottom line is simply that I have a lot of wine, and it's always my pleasure to give a bottle to you as a guest coming to my office, just as a gift. And if you don't like Cooper's Hawk wine, the next thing that comes up is I have Chips Ahoy cookies. And if you don't like wine, you can have some cookies to go home with. And it's about a 60-40 split between the wine and the cookies. Some people don't want the wine either, but they will take those cookies. And currently,
Okay.
I'm on my last couple of boxes of Girl Scout cookies that I've been giving out. But I usually buy about $500 worth of Girl Scout cookies from one of my clients' granddaughters. And she always gets to win the contest in her little troop
Okay.
of Girl Scouts. But bottom line is, it's like just some friendly thing to give out.
That's cool.
I've also got these custom made bars of soap that I give out too. It's kind of like a nice thing. I don't give it to everybody, but people that look like they might enjoy that, I'd say, hey, you know, in my powder room, I've got this soap. It's like my guests really like it because it makes their hand feel real smooth and it smells nice. And oh, thanks, and they'll take it, but I don't give it to everybody because some people I just think I might be offending them giving them soap. So they'll take the wine.
Yeah, yeah. A couple of months ago in Colorado, where I'm from or where I live, they switched over to being you have to buy your bags at the grocery store. I'm not sure if Illinois has done that yet, but in Colorado, all over, you have to buy your own bags, and they're only 10 cents, but they're
Yeah.
enough to where it's kind of irritating. And it works, right? Because I see people that are buying hundreds of dollars worth of groceries and won't spend the 10 cents for the bag because it's irritating enough to not do it. But I often wondered if, like for yourself, John, if those bags that you give those people, if they wind up, and again, I don't know if Illinois is like that, but I wonder if we did that in Colorado with some clients and stuff, that they would use that for shopping and stuff, because it's
Well, I
that's the
know
way
that
it's
some
going these
people
days.
actually have their own bags that they take to the grocery store. They're like, kind of canvas type bags that can hold, a fair
Yes,
amount of
yes, yeah,
groceries. But bottom line is that in my area, I usually never go to the store. That's my wife's job, and I think she's getting bags, for free. I know, like one of the stores she goes to is Jewel, and they give them to her. I know there's some like discount cheaper food stores where you got to bring your own bag or bring your own box to throw stuff in. To me, that is so low rent, and I wouldn't personally go there and you know do that unless I'm buying one thing and walking out with it in my hand. But I think that in
yeah,
that part
yeah.
of retail is to make sure that your customer feels satisfied, even to the point where they've got bags. Because I know that the jewel store by me, they've got like people there that are actually putting all the groceries in the bag for you, and then throw them in your cart, and then you walk out to the parking lot and put it in the car. That's the way I've always thought it should be. And when you got to
Right.
do your own, it just seems like kind of insulting. Here's your groceries. I'll put them in a
Yeah,
bag, or
yeah.
I'm not going to stick a head of lettuce in my pocket or
Yeah,
something.
figure it out. Yeah, agreed, agreed. Um, uh, Plate lickers. Back to seminars. Plate lickers and people who disguise themselves as a potential client, but they're really financial advisors. You deal with both of them. You've dealt with both of them. What is your philosophy on that? Because you're an anomaly in that sense too, and I'd
Well,
love your
when
thoughts
it
on it.
comes to plate lickers, I think that's an insulting term to call a guest at your dinner. But basically, in real life, every one of us is a plate licker. You know, if I'm going somewhere for dinner, I'm going to enjoy that dinner, and whatever else happens is secondary. So I believe that I'm giving people a nice quality dinner, but I'm giving them a story that is going to make them want to, take action and come and see us. So I consider everybody a plate licker. It's my job to turn them from plate lickers into clients. I got a story about that. Uh, Years ago, I was doing lunch seminars up in the northern suburbs, and I had this one guy that came to my seminar like 7 times, and he was sitting in the front. He really liked me. He was kind of like a cheerleader, but he never made an appointment. And so at the seventh seminar, and these were long seminars. These were 2-hour seminars, and we took a 15-minute bathroom break. And at the bathroom break, I sat down at the table he was sitting at, and I said, "You know, I like you. You seem like such a friendly guy. You're very complimentary and everything, but I've never had a chance to actually meet you, at the office and, see if there's anything that we have a fit on." And he says, "Well, that's funny you should say that because today's the day I'm actually making my appointment with you." And I said, "Why did it take so long?" And he says, "I don't know. I just, I kind of procrastinated, but, I liked you and I like having your, lunches and stuff. They're really good. And so today I decided I'm going to, bite the bullet and come and see you." So he kept his appointment. And that day, in 1 hour, he gave me like $700,000 to put into annuities for him. And I said, you know, that's a lot of money. I said, we were going over your financials. Have I seen everything that you've got? And he says, "Well, not everything." I says, "How much money do you actually have?" He says, "I've got about $15 million." And I said, and the guy was a school teacher, a retired school teacher. And I said, "How did you wind up with that much money? That's even more than a school teacher gets for a pension." He goes, my fellow teachers and I, there was about 6 of them, bought a strip mall when strip malls were brand new. And they sold that for about $100 million. And when they split it all up after taxes, they each had about 15 mil. And I said, "That's what I said." I said,
Wow.
"Wow." But anyway, he didn't give me the whole 15 million. He did give me the 700,000. He's still my client today. And that had to be, I'd have to look him up, but it had to be like 15 years ago that happened. And so he was a plate licker, and I had a gal that was, doing all the seminars with me. She was like my helper and my business partner, and she said, "Why don't you tell that guy not to come? Because he never makes an appointment." I said, "Well, he's nice to me, and he's a pleasant guy, and he's kind of like a cheerleader. He tells people, 'Oh, this guy's great.'" And so, not even my client. And so,
I've heard him before.
and then when he gave me the 700 grand, I said to her, I said, I did have to buy him 7 lunches, and that probably cost me somewhere around $50 a piece. So that was $350. And I think I made about $70,000 in commission on that guy. So I didn't mind. I'd have let him come to 7 more for that kind of result, you know. But some people don't get it. They figure, they're plate lickers, they're stealing my food. But you know what
Yeah.
it is? It's really your opportunity
Yeah.
to, bring them over to your side.
Yeah, so two comments on that. One, I think you said this before, John. Everyone's a plate licker until they set an appointment. That's how you get them to come. Secondly, people who don't do dinner seminars because of the plate lickers, they'll just do an educational seminar. I heard one person say, "Well, if they come to get an education and they don't set an appointment, are they called education lickers?" Because that's pretty pretty much what they
I think
do.
I just call them
So
time wasters. But the bottom line is,
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel uncomfortable, trying to do something in a library. I did it at a college right down the street. There's a branch of the college that my daughter went to, and they had a beautiful facility, big classroom. You could probably put 100 people in there if you wanted to. They had good video or audio video equipment in there. Wasn't very expensive, but by the same token, the people that came there are not the same kind of people that come to the dinner seminars. I think I relate better to
yeah.
the dinner seminar people. And believe it or not, I think I'm in show business. When I'm doing a seminar, I'm on stage, and I love being there, and I love doing the talk.
Heck yeah,
Some
you
people are
are.
petrified to talk in front of people.
Yeah.
I'd do anything to talk in front of people. To me, as long as I got a message that I think is valuable, I'm happy to do it. And I believe I've got a very valuable message to share with people. So I'm comfortable with it, and I'm proud of it.
What's the biggest objection because you've been up on stage. You won the remind me what the American Equity, the
Noble
Nobel
Achievement Award.
Noble Achievement.
It was named after Dave
You've been
Noble,
up
the
on
founder of the
stage.
company.
Yeah. You've gotten that award. You've spoken to thousands of advisors, and I know you get people coming up afterwards with objections for seminars, because not a lot of, there's a lot of advisors to do them, but there could
Well,
be
there's a
more.
lot more that don't do them than do. A lot more don't do them than actually do. And the thing is, you hear seminars don't work in my area, and I'm thinking to myself, you must be a crummy talker, because the people are people. And if you can relate to people in Chicago, you can relate to people in Texas or California. I've done seminars in all those states. I've done seminars. I actually had a guy that worked with us, through your organization that lived in Connecticut, and I went out and did seminars for him, just trying to help him out. And the bottom line is that he got results, and it was like he was like dumbfounded. He said, "I can't get this kind of result." I said, "Talk different, talk to the people. Don't just talk. Talk to the people, you know." And so, bottom line, I did that in California too. And a friend of mine that lived in Sacramento, we used to do them. My wife almost divorced me over it because every 2 weeks I'd go live in California at his house in Sacramento. And we did that for a year or so. I was only home half of that year, and my kids were little, and so I got plenty of grief over that. In fact, if I bring up the subject, we still start, having a little argument. So I'm like, not talking about it anymore. But the bottom line is, back then when I could do that, I felt that there was purpose, and I was being purposeful, and I was certainly helping. And I have to admit, I had fun in California too. It's like when it's like snowing here and it's like sunny there, and you don't even wear a jacket. I'm thinking, California's not a bad place to spend some winter months, you know. So at least back then, that had to be, oh God, 10 or 12 years ago at least. Yeah, 10 or 12 years ago, maybe more. But it was fun, and again, it's an opportunity to tell my story, opportunity to talk to people, and to me, the real magic is in converting people from this. They're like, yeah, tell me what you're going to do, and then to all of a sudden they're open and they want to hear more.
I always like to ask this question as the final question when we're in an interview, John. What's one piece of advice that you'd give your younger self if you were just starting off, or when you were just starting off in this business?
Get more education, get more involved in a good job. I was 39 years old when I found the insurance business. It didn't, it wasn't something, I don't know I've ever met anybody that said when they were kids, I want to be an insurance agent. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. I certainly didn't. I needed work, and I didn't want to be in the business I was in. I wanted to do sales, and I found out that in the insurance business, you can go anywhere you want and, get clientele. You don't have to be stuck in a particular territory or anything, so that really opened up opportunities to me. And then, thinking it was about the year 2000 when I really got heavy into the annuity business. And it's been a tremendous benefit to me and my family ever since. And next week, I've got 2 seminars coming up. The week after that, I got 2 seminars coming up. So I've been on kind of a hiatus for 2 weeks because my assistant's been gone. And I really don't like to make seminar moves or anything without him supporting me. So we'll all be happy. We'll all be busy again with new clientele because I got 4 seminars coming up in the next 2 weeks.
Beautiful. Well, John, thank you so much again for spending this time. I know you had lots of things going on today, so appreciate you taking this time and spending it with me. And I know the listeners will appreciate it as well because you just gave some very valuable information. So thanks.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me on. It's nice talking with you.